What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this Friday, and it's time to get back to business here. We haven't done one of these videos in a few days now, doing other stuff, trying to stretch things out a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to run out of videos in April and just have nothing to talk about leading into the draft. So, nevertheless, we are going to pick things up again today, and we're going to start with a new position, safety. Maybe the last position in this draft that is of particular interest to the Seahawks. Always debatable. I know some people might argue defensive tackle. Maybe some people would argue something along the lines of a wide receiver, I guess. I think it would be pretty hard to argue now. But safety, you've got something here. Right now, the Seahawks, you've got Julian Love, who's a good player, but he did miss a lot of 2025. His contract is starting to inflate a little bit, and it could be his last year in Seattle. You got Ty Okada, who has a one-year tender, so we don't know if he'll be back next year. I suspect that he will be because he'll still be very cheap. I think he'll be restricted next year. But I also kind of feel like that he may end up proving to be just an okay player in 2026, and we're going to want to think about maybe upgrading from him. And Nicky Manwari, while he's fantastic, I kind of feel like we like him in that nickel corner spot and we want other safeties. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about the safeties in this draft. There's really not much else behind the guys that I just talked about because Jarek Reed is gone. I guess DeAnthony Bell is here, but Bell is mostly a special teamer. And there were a couple other low-level safeties that were on the roster at one point that aren't anymore, so we need depth. But today we're going to open things up talking about the first rounders in this draft at safety, the guys who are probably going to be first round picks, or if not very close. And we will go from there. So this first video, we're going to start off with the big gun at safety this year, Caleb Downs of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Caleb Downs is not only the best safety in this class, he is one of the best players, period. He's got pretty good size for a safety, kind of typical, not a lot of length. Every big board that I use has him in the top 10, or actually top 8. Aggregate has him 8th. I think he's going to go higher than that, by the way. Production's been good the last couple years for Ohio State. You can see 150 tackles, 12 and a half tackles for loss, 4 picks, 8 passes defense. That's not a lot. Coverage numbers in a rough sense are fine, not amazing. PFF grades have been great. So Caleb Downs has been an awesome player in college. So let's take a look. So he's an expert reader of plays, reads the eyes of the quarterback really well, understands what's going on in front of him, knows how to flow to where the play is going. So he knows how to read what is happening in front of him. He's got movement skills in terms of change of direction that will allow him to excel in man coverage. He's going to be able to keep up with those guys, I think, really well. He's a leader in the secondary. He's the kind of guy who will go around making sure his teammates are in the right spots and setting things up for everybody else. So he is a leader. Great tackler. He can lay big hits, so he's got all that stuff. He covers a lot of ground to make tackles as well. He's very rangy. And his burst when he goes forward is significant. The click and close is legit. So Caleb Downs, a lot to like, a lot to appreciate. Couple of things that aren't ideal with Caleb Downs. The short arms are going to reduce his opportunity to break up passes. 30 and a quarter is not good. His ball production wasn't great in college. Like, we're talking about 8 passes defensed over the last 2 years. And he's played in plenty of games, so that's not the holdup here. He just doesn't have a lot of passes defensed in his ledger. He didn't really play man very much in college. He was mostly playing zone. So it's one of those things where he can probably do it, but you're going to have to teach him a little bit. And he can play a little over aggressively sometimes. I think that's fair. He can be a little over the top. So Caleb Downs, obviously the best safety here. Is he a generational safety prospect? I don't know. I'm stacking this guy up next to a guy like a Sean Taylor, and I don't know if I see it. I know that he's probably going to go about as high in this draft as a Sean Taylor did, but I think that's reflective of the class. To me, I look at Caleb Downs and I see a player that is one of the best players in this class. I don't see a Sean Taylor level prospect here, though. So I get the hype. I do. I really do. I don't think he is in the running to be the best player in this class the way some people do. Like, I have two big boards, Tankathon and ESPN, that have him as the second ranked player in this draft. I think he should be a top 10 player. I think he might be a top 5 player in this class. I can get behind that. Probably top 5. I just don't know if I see anything generational here. I'm gonna have to actually put my big board together when all this is over and see where I actually put him. But I feel like he's a top 5 player in this draft. I just hope that that gets taken in the right way. All right. Next up is Dillon Thieneman of Oregon, and this guy is probably just a little too good, and I'll get to what I mean by that in a second here. Most of you guys know him because a lot of the guys who watch my videos are Oregon fans, and even if you're not, you probably watch Oregon a lot. 22. He's just over 6 feet tall, 201 pounds, so kind of small. Arm length is decent. Tested great. Monster 40. This 40, I think, changed his life. 4.35, 1.52 split, which is very good. And the 41-inch vertical is fantastic. The big boards that update frequently all have him now in the first, and I'm middle first for the most part. CBS has him in the early second, and the Draft Network and Walter have him in the middle second. But I'm pretty sure their big boards don't update very much, and I'm pretty sure that's pre-combine, and it might even be way before the combine, so I feel like that's probably not capturing the reality very well, but the aggregate has him at 19. So what I'm trying to say is that this guy is pretty clearly going to be a first-round pick, and I think he'll be gone by the time the Seahawks pick. He's got 200 tackles over the last 2 seasons. I don't think he was at Oregon in 2024, but regardless, 8 tackles for loss, not a ton of ball production, like 12 passes defensed. Coverage numbers, good, and PFF grade was monstrous in 2025. So, really cool stuff here from Thieneman. Positives with him, another guy who's a leader in that secondary, somebody that's going to take charge and put players in the right position and make sure he calls plays out. His traits should allow him to play box, deep, robber, and probably even some nickel. I'm not as confident about that, but I think that he'll be able to do robber, box, deep. He's got a wide range of effect as a run defender. He covers a ton of ground, flies to the ball, and makes plays. He can take care of a lot of space deep, so if you use him as like your single high safety, he's going to really take away a lot of room for opposing offenses. He knows how to read the play and react to it appropriately. So if you put him in zone and allow him to read things in front of him, he's going to be good. And he's also somebody that has the instincts and the rapidness and speed to drop to depth and then come make a play against the run and still positively impact the play. So great stuff here with the Thieneman. I like him a lot. Change of direction skills, a little bit lacking, which is why I don't know about him as a nickel. I don't know if he's going to be able to do the stuff you really want a player that close to the line of scrimmage to do, especially when he has to man cover sometimes. He's not really a hard hitter. He's a little too small to really hit people with force. That could be a problem in the NFL. He is a little undersized. I look at him and I see a physical player, and then I look at how he's sized, and I do wonder how much that holds up. Hard to know. A little easier to get away with in college. So I like him a lot. He's grown on me a lot, and there was a time where I really was targeting him at 32, but unfortunately, he did so well at the combine, I can't imagine him being there at 32. So I think he's a top 15 player in this class. So if he's there at 32, I'm pouncing on that. And I don't think he will be anymore. He's just a little too obviously good. And one final guy for this video is going to be Emanuel McNeel-Warren of Toledo. Our final likely first-round safety here. This may be a guy the Seahawks have to make a decision on at 32. It's possible. He's 24. He's very big. Well, excuse me, he's very tall, 6 foot 3.5. He's lanky. He's lean. Only 201 pounds. That's actually, I think, lighter than Thieneman, or the exact same weight as Thieneman, actually. Good length, long arms. Didn't test all that well. It's not shocking because he is a taller guy, but did not run all that fast. Just kind of okay. Most of the big boards that have him do have him in the first now, the late first. Draft Network still has him in the third, but I think their big board is older. Walter doesn't have him at all, and I think their big board is older, so understand that. Aggregate puts him at 25, so definitely a little bit of a late first round guy. So this is interesting, right? Productive the last couple years. We're talking about almost 140 tackles, 7 for loss, 3 picks, 10 passes defense. Pretty decent ball production, not great, but fine. The kind of standout here is he only was targeted 15 times last year in coverage and only gave up 6 catches. Even as a safety, that's pretty darn spectacular. 92 PFF grade, that's about as good as it gets. And Toledo has obviously produced some pretty good defensive backs in recent years, so there's a little bit of credibility here. I know it's not a huge college or anything like that, and there is a little bit of fear there. So McNeel-Warren, very physically intimidating because he's so long and tall. So there is that intimidation factor here. He's a good tackler. I think that he will be a plus tackler in the NFL. He's a forced fumble dude. He's a guy who forces a lot of fumbles in college. We'll see if that translates to the NFL, but seems like it will. He covers a lot of ground. I know he's not super fast or anything, but he's got long strides, so he's somebody that feels like he's flying around still. He's somebody that can work through a lot of traffic to find the ball carrier and hit him hard, so that's great. So he's a little bit of a bigger and more physical kind of a box safety. I think he'll be able to be more than just a box safety, though. I think that he will be able to do other safety duties, but there are some concerns here. He's not necessarily the greatest athlete in the world, EMW, as some people call him. He's a decent athlete for his size, but it's nothing to get super excited about. Change of direction is not really there, so I don't think he'll be a man cover guy. He's not fast enough to make up for mistakes he makes. And sometimes he's a little overly aggressive. He's a little eager to get in there. And sometimes I look at him and I feel like, on some level, it feels like a less athletic Nick Emanuel-Warren. That's one thing I wrote here. He's like a slower and less heavy Nick Emanuel-Warren on some level. It feels like he'll be like an extra linebacker out there, and that's great. But Emanuel-Warren is also a phenomenal athlete, an all-time freak at the position, and McNeel-Warren is not. He's just kind of lanky and aggressive. So I ended up not loving this one as much as I thought I would when I started to look at him. I don't know if the poor man's Nick Emanuel-Warren thing is totally fair, but I ended up coming away from EMW feeling like I don't really need this. I think somebody does, though. And I think he's a first-round player. I do. Not by much. If he's there at 32, I think that would be okay. I assume that if you take him, it means that you have some plan to utilize him, but I don't know. Where does this fit in? I'm not 100% convinced this works in McDonald's defense. The idea of the safeties in McDonald's defense is they're ubiquitous. I don't know if EMW's ubiquitous, but he's a nice player, and I do think he should be a first-round pick. All right, so let me know what you guys think. These are your top 3 safeties, all 3 guys. Decent chance of being gone before the Seahawks pick. I think EMW has a chance of being there at 32, but we will see. And I'm going to do another safety video later today where we go into some of the more manageably reachable guys, shall we say.